Test, test. Pretty big room, and I don't see a big lineup of speakers, which is interesting. But I do see at least one, so we'll get started. And the gentleman that said bad idea, you're welcome to come up, take 45 seconds to tell us what your idea is. You totally are. So why don't we start over here? Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name's Greg. I'm a tech entrepreneur here in Edmonton, and I've founded and grown my businesses right here. And my response to the question is actually, and all 6 questions on the agenda tonight, is that Alberta doesn't really want you doing this right now. We don't want this. We're worried about health, we're worried about education, and we're worried about poverty. Too many of our neighbors are living under a tarp to be talking about transfers. We're simply not concerned.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. And suddenly the lines are full. Let's go over to this side.
Sure, my name is Brett Olin. I'm the CEO of Bow Valley Credit Union. The best way to have economic sovereignty is through currency sovereignty. Alberta and the Western world are in a sovereign debt crisis, where Canada is at the point where it's printing currency to pay all its bills, moving us closer towards bankruptcy. Alberta can have fiscal sovereignty by balancing the budget, if it balances the budget. But it will never have sovereignty over monetary policy unless there's a constitutional amendment, which may be very unlikely. Through an equalization payment, there should be an embedded formula to counteract this monetary debasement of robbing Albertans from their savings and their capital. Alberta policymakers should also advocate for gold and Bitcoin to keep their
Brett,
monetary...
I'll let you go by 45 to maybe 50 or so, but then I got to cut it off. So thank you. And I'll try to be fair, regardless of what side of the coin you might be on tonight. I will try to give you past 45 if it's making some sense. Okay, let's go over here.
Prior to the 2023 election, the UCP made a guarantee that no Albertan would have to pay out of pocket for health care. We already pay for our health care through our taxes.
Can I just stop you for a second?
No!
Like, I get it on the healthcare, the education, those kinds of things. And not only that, we have people in the room that'll take it. If you've got a healthcare issue, you can talk to them about it. But tonight is about Alberta Next and the relationship with Ottawa, with Ottawa, right? Ottawa's relationship with Alberta. You're welcome to talk about it. If you have an Alberta issue,
no, this is our provincial government. I'm a citizen of Alberta.
I hear you, ma'am.
I need the right to speak to my premier.
Thank you.
Alberta does not want this. Now reset my clock.
So I got you. Thank you very much.
Reset the clock.
Okay, please lose that mic, and we're going to go over here. Okay? Go ahead over here.
Hi there. Many Albertans support the idea of gaining more provincial autonomy. However, the reality is that major changes like reforming equalization, taking control over immigration, or withdrawing from CPP are not within Alberta's sole authority. Equalization is entrenched in the Constitution and fully controlled by the federal government. Any constitutional changes would require approval from Parliament and at least 7 provinces representing over 50% of Canada's population, meaning those provinces would have to agree to give up funding that currently benefits them. Immigration remains federally dominated, and even creating a separate Alberta pension plan would require prolonged and complex negotiations with Ottawa. My question is twofold. Given these significant legal and political barriers, do you believe this process will lead to meaningful provincial autonomy, or are Albertans being given false hope for changes that in practical terms may never materialize?
Thank you for the question. Thank you for the question. Premier, can I throw that one at you, and then I'd like to ask someone else in the panel.
Well, sure, you've got to start somewhere, and I think we started the conversation on equalization in particular through a referendum. And initially, I think we had hoped that there'd be a reaction from Ottawa. There wasn't, but I'll tell you what did happen. What happened is that Newfoundland and Labrador started asking why it is they end up giving money into Confederation to pay for transfers that go to Quebec when they are the most indebted province in the country and one of the smallest populations. And so they launched a legal challenge saying this isn't fair. British Columbia joined it, as did Saskatchewan. So now you've got 4 provinces and us all saying the equalization system isn't working for us and we've got to change it. So that's the reason why you have the conversation, you start it, because then it creates a point where you can find the common ground with others. And I think we may find some common ground on some of those other issues too.
Okay. Thank you, Premier. There'll be more technical points on this one. I'd love to hear from Trevor too, but Trevor, I'm going to just save you for 1 second. I'd love to go to this microphone, but that lady doesn't seem to want to give it up. So let's go back over here for the next question.
So first off, let's address some misinformation that we've received. Albertans do not pay equalization payments. We pay taxes like the rest of Canada. And we do not pay more taxes than other provinces. Ontario pays a lot more than we do. So let's get that straight. Thank you.
Okay. Are we ready for this microphone over here? Not quite. So we'll go back over here.
Respectfully, when I travel, and I travel extensively, when I'm asked where I'm from, I don't say I'm an Albertan first. I say I'm a Canadian first. And so I just wanted to answer this question by saying I feel, as a Canadian who pays taxes, that it's right for us to pay for everyone.
Okay, thank you. We can go to this side.
I am on topic because I'm talking about sovereignty. Alberta Next Panel was promoted with the goal of strengthening Alberta's economy and ensuring its future in confederation and not to promote separation.
Absolutely.
The email supplying this address says we can speak only on topics that advise on how Alberta can strengthen its sovereignty within a united Canada.
You bet.
Yeah. Alberta.ca says your Sovereignty Act will not allow Alberta to separate from Canada. Now, I think it's a sovereignty or a united Canada. So, Danielle Smith, do you agree that Alberta should remain in Canada? And will you sign this petition?
Thank you.
Well, my very first bill was Bill 1, which was Alberta sovereignty within a united Canada. It was the very first action that I took when I became Premier. And I can tell you that one of the things I have to do when I travel internationally, because I am also Minister of International and Intergovernmental Relations, is to let people know that we have one of the most decentralized federations in the entire world. So when I go to Mexico and speak with Pemex, and they want to know about fracking, and they want to know about their gas development, they want to know about pipelines, they want to know about natural gas, electricity, they shouldn't be going to Ottawa, they should be coming to Edmonton and Calgary to find out how it is we do it and how we can collaborate. And that's how our founders created our country, so that each of us have areas of jurisdiction that we are exclusively responsible for. The federal government likes to invade our areas of jurisdiction. The provincial governments don't invade areas of federal jurisdiction. We had 112 times. There's a provision at the federal level called disallowance. So the federal government has struck down provincial laws in the past. That's why we don't have our own currency. Much as the Bow Valley Credit Union guy might like us to have one, it's because we're not allowed to do that, because that's federal jurisdiction. So they should have the same respect for our jurisdiction as we do for theirs, is what I would say. So yes, I do believe in a united Canada and an Alberta sovereign within it.
Thank you, Premier. Okay, let's go over here next.
I just wanted to say that the contention, the whole panel is based on the idea or set up on the presumption that the federal feds are holding Alberta back. This contention is demonstrably false. I would like to remind particularly the Premier that the feds, can you let me speak please? That the feds invested $4.5 billion in the TMX extension. I don't think I have to say more. I think that point's made. Yep. Also, can you let me speak, please?
I'll tell you what. You're over, but I'm going to grace. Okay, go ahead, make your point, because you're well past 45.
Yeah. So the only other thing I want to say is I installed solar panels recently in my home. I got grants and an interest-free loan from the federal government, and I got squat from the Alberta government.
All right. Okay.
Bruce?
Yes, sorry, go ahead.
Do you want to get Grant Fagerheim, who's in the industry, to comment on whether or not the feds have been helpful to the industry?
If anybody has perspective on dealing with the federal government, dealing with the provincial government in this space, it would be Mr. Fagerheim. Grant, do you want to make a comment?
Yeah, sure I will. I just think that in Alberta, we're so resource rich with our oil and gas and oil and natural gas, coal, and all types of products. Using, we'll call the newer age energy products, I think is important if they can stand alone without, from my perspective, without incremental federal funding. So here we are, we're being stopped, in essence, from advancing our products to the world market because of some of the challenges that we have with the federal government. And Premier Smith is, together with Premier Moe, are working very hard to how do we not only drill for and extract our volumes, get it to international markets through pipeline corridors, etc. So I think what we should be doing is celebrating, from my perspective, all forms of energy products, but specifically oil and natural gas that we can extract and take to market within, for the benefit of not just Albertans, but all Canadians. And first of all, Albertans first, but we're being penalized by not even able to extract our volumes. So I think that's where, from an energy perspective, representation, that's what I can say.
Thank you, Grant. This is going to be really hard to keep on time and keep every topic to its own time frame. I'm going to do my best. We're already over, but we've only got a couple of speakers left in this one. So if you're in the line, you're saying, what? Stay in the line and speak to another topic that's coming up. So let's go over here next.
Okay, I'm speaking on sovereignty as a whole. Premier Smith, you have a choice. You can be remembered as a leader who deepen pain and fear for those who already bear the heaviest burdens, or you can choose a different path, one that lifts people up, earns respect, and inspires pride and leadership. Build on Alberta, where sovereignty means dignity, justice, and pride, not profit, oppression, and shame. True sovereignty means dignity for all Albertans. Out of respect for the panel's mandate, I want to speak out about what sovereignty within Alberta should mean and what it was never become. We cannot claim sovereignty while taking from the vulnerable and then kicking them down again and again, stripping away their ability to survive, to eat, to stand. In today's Alberta, putting food on the table is becoming a privilege, not a right. That is not strength, that is cruelty. We also cannot claim to defend Alberta's future while selling it off to the highest bidder that this is not our land to sell. It belongs to the Indigenous peoples, and any vision for sovereignty that ignores that truth is built on injustice. In truth, this here...
Thank you. So, thank you. You definitely got the message. Thank you. Let's go over here.
Can I just comment? I mean, the reason why we want to develop our resources and get them to market is to do exactly what you're saying, is to address the healthcare, the education, and the vulnerable sector. I just want to put it out there. If we had built Northern Gateway, which was approved and cancelled by Trudeau, if we'd built Energy East, which was advanced, but then pulled the plug because they couldn't see their way through to getting approval, if we'd built Keystone XL, if the federal government had advocated for 1 minute on our behalf to keep that pipeline going, we would have had an additional 2.5 million barrels per day of production today, which would be generating about $55 billion per year in additional GDP, of which governments would be getting about 40% of that. You can build a lot of schools and hospitals and roads with that kind of money.
Yeah,
that's why we're advocating for it.
That's it. Go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'd just like to say, for those of you who don't like the term equalization, but you're interested in hospitals being built and schools being built and funding our poor, you should be interested in more of the economic activity that generates wealth in Alberta staying here. And that's exactly what this question is about. Now, having said that, I do think this question really is moot for this panel because, as was raised before, you need a constitutional change to get rid of equalization, and then you need political will to change the formula. Stephen Harper was responsible for creating this formula. Pierre Poilievre has said recently he has no interest in changing it, and that makes them both consistent with the Liberals and Quebec and the other provinces who take.
Okay, so before we move on, Trevor Toome, you've got some expertise in this, and I think it'd be worth you providing a little insight or perspective from what you've done.
Yeah, happy to. And I guess I'll keep it tight, I promise. On the point of whether or not this is moot or not, I think some perspective, some historical perspective is important, like transfers to provinces, public finances generally, how things are split and shared between governments. That's a tough issue because Canada is so diverse and, as the Premier noted, so decentralized. It's almost impossible to have a single federal policy, create anything but winners and losers regionally. And so throughout Canadian history, there's calls for reform, concerns raised by some regions at some point in time and other regions at other points in time. And typically the federal government is responsive to those concerns and reforms are enacted. And we're now approaching nearly the longest period of time where equalization has not seen any material reform to a structure. And there's lots of changes that could be made. And so it's processes like this. It's concerns raised by Alberta, but not just Alberta, Newfoundland and Labrador, also challenging equalization. And so the federal government needs to think about whether those concerns can be responded to, as they were in 2007, for example, with big changes to both equalization and health transfers. So I think it is important for provinces to raise concerns, and that's common throughout history.
Thanks, Trevor. Okay, so we have a straw poll. We'll go on to the next topic. And the straw poll is this: should Alberta take a lead role in working with the other provinces to reform federal transfers and equalization? Who says yes, we should? Who says no, we shouldn't?